Hi, my name is Masood. This is a training video for Signal and Systems Lab at UIT. I'm going to provide you a tutorial on Matlab first, and then further I'm going to give you a tour on Simulink.
When you want to run Matlab, you need to go to Start, All Programs, and find Matlab, or there might be a shortcut somewhere here. I have already started Matlab. On the top you see the menus for different functions and features. On the left pane you see the current folder where all files are located. And the main window is called command window, where you can find the Matlab commands. Matlab is a command line compiler, so whatever you type you can just run it right away in the command window. For example, if I want to say a is equal to, then you can run it right away, and the answer is echoed back to you, meaning that the Matlab has already recognized a and has assigned a value of 2 to it. If you don't want to see the echo back, just put a semicolon at the end. I'm going to define another variable, b is equal 3. So I'm going to simply add a plus b, and the result is going to be 5. Or multiply a to b, and the result is going to be 6. So simply you can notice that Matlab is using the same math operation symbols to do the operations. Hat operator is used to do the power, so a to the power b is 2 to the power 3, which is equal to 8. You can use CLC command to clear the screen and start from scratch. Log is using, for example, log 10 to take the logarithm of a number, and you can see the log 10 is giving you the natural logarithm. If you want to do the log base 10, you just simply say log 10 base 10, but which is equal to 1. The question is that how did I know log 10 is going to be the log 10 and log is going to be the natural logarithm? So by just typing help log is going to give you the answer to this question, which says log is natural logarithm, and then you can see an explanation of log x with the functions and the parameters. Also you can see other related functions, and log 10 is one of the related functions, which I'm assuming should be probably log base 10. I can click on it and it says log 10 is common base 10 logarithm. So in this way you can find about different functions in Matlab and search them by using the help command. Now I'm going to do some trigonometry. For example, sine pi over 2. So first of all you can see the pi is used. Pi word is a keyword in Matlab that is replacing the symbol pi in math. So sine pi over 2 is going to give you 1. And if I take help on sine function, you can see that it would tell you a sine, which is arc sine, and sine d. Let's say I don't know what sine d is. I click on it and it says sine of argument in degrees. So basically sine d 90 is going to give me 1. Why? Because 90 now is in degree. Now let's define a complex number. A is equal to plus 3i. So you can see that Matlab simply recognizes the complex number by using the keyword I. So 2 plus 3i is a complex number to Matlab. You can define another let's say 3 plus 4i, and you can multiply a by b, and you can see Matlab is very simple in using complex number, adding them together or multiplying them together. Let's define a vector now. A is equal 1 3 4. So in this way Matlab is recognizing a as a row vector 1 3 4. And let's define another function, another vector. b is equal 2 3 5. Let's say you can simply add these two vector using the plus operator. So you see that plus could be used for adding simple numbers or complex numbers or even vectors, and that's the beauty of MATLAB, that you don't have to have different operators for different parameters. And if I define another variable, another vector, but it has to be a column vector, so 2 semicolon 3 semicolon 4, and you can see that D now is a column vector. Here A was a row vector. So if I multiply A by D, is going to give me only one number. Why? Because I'm multiplying a 1 by 3 vector times 3 by 1 vector, and the answer is going to be 1 by 1, which is a number. If I clear the screen and multiply D by A, I'll get a 3 by 3 matrix. Why? Because I'm multiplying a 3 by 1 vector times a 3 by 1 vector times 1 by 3 vector is going to give you a 3 by 3 matrix. How about the matrix operation? Let's say if I assign this matrix to variable A, so D times A, I'm going to have the same matrix. If I use DET, which is the determinant function defined in MATLAB, it's gonna give me 0. The reason is that the third row is actually the first row multiplied by 2, and you know from the matrix operations that the determinant is supposed to be 0 if one row is a multiplication of the other row. The other thing you can just define, we already had A and we already had B, so we can just simply say A dot star B, and if you can see, this is going to multiply A by B element by element. So 1 by 2 is 2, 3 by 3 is 9, and 4 by 5 is 20. So when you put dot, it means that it's doing the next operation following the dot, element by element. If you take sum of A, is going to add all the elements in A together, 1 plus 3 plus 4, which is going to give me A. So sum is summation of all the elements together. So let's define a 2 by 2 matrix, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see how I separated the lines, the rows from each other using the semicolon. The first one went on the first row, the second one went to the second row. And now if I say inv A is going to take the inverse of matrix A for me. So inv A is giving you the matrix A. A prime is giving the transpose. So you see this 1 and 3 here is the 1 and 3 here. So this 1 and 3, which was column before, now it's the row, because that's the way the transpose on a matrix is working. What if I want to address the first line, first row, first column? Say I say A1 and 1, and A1 and 1 is equal 1. Why? Because this one. So A2 and 2 is going to give me the on the second row, the element on the second row, and the element on the second column, which is number 4. You can see it here. If I want to address the whole row, let's say row number 1, so I say A1 and colon, that's going to give me 1 and 2. So this is on the first row. So this is let's put A here so that we can see it better. So the first row is this one, 1 and 2. If I want to address the first column, so I say A column, and column 1 is going to give me 1 and 3. Why? Because 1 and 3 are the first column. So this is the way that we can address the whole row or the whole column. In MATLAB, the way that we define data is through the vector. So here I have assigned some data to vector A and some data to vector B, and now I want to plot those data. So I simply say plot A, comma B, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to get a line. If I say help plot, is going to give me all different options for plot, which is a fairly like huge number. You can see you can define the color of the plot for different ones. So for example, B was the default, the blue. I'm going to change it to red later, and you can also define how to connect the data together using the line or using the points or whatever. For example, I'm going to use plus here. So let's define again, say plot A versus B, and use the color red and connect them using pluses. And then here, if you go to figure 1, you see that it became red and it connected them using the plot, using the plus signs and symbols. So this is the way that we can plot. Let's say define another sort of data. For example, x is equal 1 to 5. So first of all, you can see that I define a vector from 1 to 5, and the steps were steps of like 1 increase, so 1 2 3 4 5. And then I'm going to define another one, y again 1 to 5. So this is going to be similar to x, and then I'm going to define a matrix, which is z is equal x prime times y. And you can see that I already got like a matrix. I can use the function mesh. So mesh x y z is going to plot z, which I defined it here, versus x and y. So this is going to be a 3D, and this is the way that we got. So x and y are on the xy axis, and z is going to the third axis, which is z axis. Okay, let's see how in Matlab we can define the logical operator. So I can use the keyword true to define a variable as logic 1, and use the keyword false to define a variable as logic 0. And then I can simply say A and B, and of course I'm going to get 0 because true and false is going to give me false. Or use A or B is going to give me the variable 1, means true, or false is going to be true. Okay, let's see how in Matlab we can compare the parameters together and take an action based on the comparison. So let's define c equal 2 and d equal to 5, and I'm going to say if c is less than d, then assign 1 to variable 1 w, and then I'm going to end the comparison. So in this way, because c was really less than d, then the w was assigned to 1. So getting this echo back from Matlab means that this comparison was done. If I wanted to check for greater, I could use this value. If I wanted to check equality, I'll use two like equal symbols together. And for not equal, so this is the way that you do not equal. And then for yeah, that's about it. This is the way that we compare the parameters together. And we also learned another function, which was if and end. So whatever you want to be the action based on the result of the comparison in front of if is going to come between if and end. Okay, then the next topic is how to program in MATLAB. I mean, how to write the script, or basically what it's called in MATLAB, they call it M file. So in order to do that, we click on new script shortcut here, and here is the place that you can type your commands, or you can start programming. So let's define a vector x is equal to 1397, and then I'm going to define, for example, a for loop. I'm going to say for I is equal 1 2 4 yi
is going to be xi plus 3, and then I'm going to say n. So basically what I have done here is just I have defined a vector, and then I'm creating another vector which is 3 element by element more than x. So this is my first script. Let's save it. I'm going to save it as test1, and then say yes, and test1.m. So .m is the extension for scripts in Matlab. And if I want to run it, simply I'm going to say run. Let's minimize the editor so that we could see the command line on the left. So I don't see any result here. So how do I know this was running? Because I have not echoed back the result. So let's add y at the end and run it again. And then you can see the result y to be echoed back on the screen. And you can see that 1 has been added to 3, 3 has been added to 3. So all elements have been basically added by 3 the same way that I was asking in the program. And now I'm going to show you how we can troubleshoot the program. So to troubleshoot the program, first we define a breakpoint. So here, let's say I want to see if this for loop is working properly. So by clicking on F12, you see that a red circle is going to appear on the left side, meaning that this is a breakpoint. And let's remove the semicolon from here so that I can see every time the result when the for loop is increasing step by step. And then I'm going to press on F5. So F5 is going to run the program up to the breakpoint. So it was F12 to create the breakpoint and F5 to run to the breakpoint. And then if I clear every time, like F11 goes to the next step. So you see the arrow, the green arrow shows that we are here. Again, another F11, it goes to N, another F11. So you see that y is equal 4. It means that the first element, which was 1, was added by 3 to create 4. So y is now only having one element, which is equal 4. So let's keep pressing F11, and you see now y is 2 elements. Why? Because the second element of x was added to 3 to create the second element of y. And just by keep pressing F11, you see that the y is keep increasing, and in this way you can find out if the program is creating the right result in each step or not. And then you can finally quit debugging and get back to the program. If you click on F12 again on the same line, the break point is going to be removed.